Hi everyone, welcome back to my traffic engineering YouTube channel. Currently I am a traffic engineer with HNTB, going into my fifth year of experience. Today we'll be talking about the RSP1 certification exam, which if you don't know, obviously you probably do because you're clicking on the video, but it is a road safety professional exam. It is the first exam of a two-part series. We're just going to be kind of going over some of the logisticals and what you can kind of expect when you actually take this exam. So as you can see, I've got the screen pulled up of the TPCB kind of about page. This is just kind of a little general information on the exam itself, kind of the origins and why it was created. Those achieving a level 1 certification will have demonstrated proficiency in the foundations of road safety principles. So this exam is not quantitative. There's no numerical calculations. This test is all qualitative, multiple choice, 4 answers per question. Just kind of going through some of the format and content. Actually, I think before I do that, I'm going to get into the online application and kind of experience requirements. So it's very straightforward to apply. You just come to the RSP1 application page. It will have you log in to your ITE account. If you don't have one, you will have to create one. Then you can come in, add your personal information, which is going to be just kind of your name and stuff. You'll have to put in your degree, your resume, statement of obligation. For other exams, such as the PTOE, you'll need to enter in all of your PE information. You need to have it before you take the PTOE, but not the RSP1 exam. And then they will go through here and look at your years of experience just to make sure you meet the requirements. For the RSP1 examination, it's 2 years of experience in a related field. So obviously this is not specific just to engineers. A lot of different disciplines can take this, I think ranging from police officers, government agencies, anyone that has a stake in roadway safety is actually eligible to take this exam. So after you sign up, it's pretty easy. If you have testing accommodations, if you've got a disability or such, you can put that in here. It's very, very straightforward. Again, just an approved doctor's note or something of the sort, and they will reach out to you with any questions. Also on here, there's a select examination date. This actually doesn't do anything, so your application has to be approved before you can pick the exam date. So just to talk about that a little bit, you'll get an email when you are approved to sign up and take this exam. So once you get that email, you'll be directed to the Scantron testing site website, where you can then pick your day and location and time of the exam. So this exam was only 4 hours, so it wasn't very hard to schedule a day or an existing site. So I took this exam, I think down in Centennial, Colorado. It was about a 45-minute drive for me, but there are testing sites pretty much everywhere, and the scheduling is not as big of an issue as it is with the new CBT PE. So once you have your application done, you do have to submit your registration fee, or not your registration. You have to submit your fee for the application, which we'll go over, and then you can also either prepay for the certification or you can wait until you pass the exam to pay for the certification. Obviously, I kind of recommend just paying it in advance, and then you don't have to deal with the headache if you pass and then have to pay. So that will also come during this application. So here's the fee schedule, which kind of goes over the fees that you're going to have to pay. As I said, the application fee, which is this exam fee, is $100 per exam. So you pay this at the time of your application. And then here's the certification fee, which is for 3 years, $180. They have in here, you get a nice little discount if you have multiple certifications. So if I were to go for the PTP or PTOE, you could potentially get a future discount on those certification fees. Also do check, because it is possible that your company may cover these certification fees. Mine does not, but it is something to look forward to. So this fee schedule is 3 years. I think the idea behind that is at the end of the 3 years, you'll be eligible for the RSP2. So then you would take the RSP2, and then you'd have that certification going forward. So we went over the application, we went over the fee schedule, we went over the exam sign up. Let's kind of go over some of the content and what I think you need to actually study for this exam. So there's 5 different main domains. Domain 1 is the foundations of road safety. Domain 2 is measuring safety. Domain 3 is human behavior in road safety. Domain 4, solving safety problems. Domain 5, implementing road safety problems. So all of these are tasks that are detailed in various different reference materials in our profession. In my opinion, these are pretty high level questions where nothing gets too detailed. There's a direct answer for most of these task items. So I'm not going to get too much into the content just because there's a lot of it and I feel like it's covered pretty well. So that leads me kind of into my next topic of a refresher course. So this is put together from ITE. So these videos were recorded back in 2020. For an ITE member, it's $199, and then for a non-ITE member, it's $250. So you get access to this course for 90 days, and you do get a free retake if you don't pass. You also get 7.5 professional development hours if that's something you're interested in. If you're currently a PE or have different certifications that you need to submit PDH hours for. But as you can see, there's 5 different modules. Each module kind of corresponds to one of these domains, and they really spoon feed you all this material, task by task. So they go into very good depth. These modules are about 2 hours each, and then at the end of the module, you will have a quick quiz as well as opportunity to provide feedback. So I think some of the feedback that I provided was I thought the lecturer was a little dry. There was no video to the lectures, so there was just a little room for improvement, I should say. But in my opinion, if you do take this exam for $200, you're pretty much guaranteed to pass. I know they have a really high pass rate for this exam as it is. I think it's around 85% or something. We'll see in a little bit. But if you complete this exam, or if you complete this course honestly, you're gonna pretty much pass with flying colors. So that's just the review course itself. In my opinion, I think if you only complete this review course, that's enough to pass the exam. I know it says to source a lot of the materials and study out of the hardcover books, but it's really not necessary. If you complete these, you know all the information that you'll see on the exam. So that is the review course itself. Let's just take a quick look at the reference material. So these are kind of the books that these questions come out of. Obviously, we've got our Highway Safety Manual, which is kind of the biggest reference in our profession. We've got Roadway Safety Fundamentals, the Traffic Engineering Handbook, Clearinghouse. I did have a question on the Clearinghouse. I don't know how much detail I can get into, but I did have a question on how you would pick one CMF over the other for a certain particular roadway, which I thought was interesting. So just be familiar there. Human factors, there's a domain specifically on human factors. And then these reports down here are pretty much all free, I think. And then there's also, I think this is a pedestrian manual. So there's quite a few different reference materials, but as I said, I think you're okay to not need to source all of these individually. So moving on, there is a practice exam, $50 for an ITE member, $75 for a non-ITE member. Again, this test is almost identical to the actual exam, just with some different questions asked. It will score it automatically and provide you the results on what you got wrong. Very easy. Target score, I would say 70% is what you should shoot for to be comfortable. And I believe that is the passing score. I guess it says right here 70% or better. Let me talk now a little bit about the exam day itself. As I said, this is a CBT exam at a Scantron site now, so it's very similar to the CBT PE exam, where you show up, you can't have a phone, calculator, anything of the sort. You get a little locker when you show up, and you can put all of your personal items. In my opinion, these Scantron sites are a little more lenient in their rules than the NCEES sites, so they're more willing to give you personal accommodations. I know during my exam, specifically, they had just painted the room, so I asked them to leave the door open, and they had no issues doing any of that. They also had provided breath mints, which was nice, so I got a snack on a couple of mints while taking the exam. And then they also did provide scratch paper and pencil, but I really didn't need it for this exam. Yeah, as you can see here, it says pencil and scrap paper provided. So for the longer exams like the PTOE, you'll get a designated break, and it's very easy. You just raise your hand when you're ready to take the break, and the proctor will come and get you out. So like I said, these Scantron testing sites are nice, and I think they're a lot less stress inducing than that NCEES facility. But do be familiar just with where your site is, and show up 15 to 20 minutes prior to your exam time. Trying to think anything else exam day related. Once you press submit, you don't get your results for 6 to 8 weeks. So I guess I'll talk about that at the end. The exam content itself. So I can't disclose too much information, but as I said, there is 4 answers per question. In my opinion, every question had 2 answers that could have been right, but one is more right. So they do kind of try and throw you curveballs to make sure you know what you're answering. They will try and give you questions to trip you up and see if you pick the wrong answer. So that does happen. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. So I mean, here's just one I can think of. So one is, who's the most at-risk driving population group? And they're going to give you 4 answers. And in our profession, obviously, the 2 main answers are the elderly and young drivers under the age of 18. But they might give you both of those answers on the exam, and one of them is going to be more right. So there's elderly, and then there is young drivers. And it'll have you pick between the two of which one is more correct. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do believe the answer to that question was young drivers, just because of the population skew. They're more frequent in numbers and have riskier driving behaviors compared to the elderly. So it is just something to keep in mind, that a lot of these questions try and trick you with 2 answers that can be right. But it is also helpful because you can throw out usually 2 of the answers right away. So content itself, I think it was 70 questions. Don't quote me on that. It probably says in here somewhere. Okay, well, it was either 70 or 80 questions. I think it was 70. I'm going to stick with 70. I actually had my results notice somewhere on my desk. I can't find it at the moment, but that has the scoring for sure. I'm going to pause actually here real quick and try and dig that out. All right, I'm cutting ahead of myself a little bit here, but I do have the certification results. They send you a nice score sheet of your raw results. So I had 73 questions on my exam. I scored a 72% overall. So they send you a nice I don't know, this really is not going to be too helpful, but they send you a nice breakdown of your score and what categories you did well in, as well as your notice. So I got a 57% measuring safety domain, which not very good. But anyways, I'm going to try and keep this video under 20 minutes, but the last thing I want to talk about is the exam results. So this was something that I didn't really see much on. There's some threads in the engineering forums of, waiting and when results are typically released. So I took it in October, and the results I think came out the third week of November. But there's a lot of people in this thread that you can follow that gave tips on how to know when you're going to pass. If you come over to your profile, it actually puts your certification date on here if you pass, and then I'm not sure if it's on this website or where it is, but there is a search function where you can look for certifications through ITE, and your name will appear usually a week before they send out the email notice. So I check that every day. It's just something to monitor, so you'll know you passed quicker. But the time frame, 6 to 8 weeks, 70%, typically a passing score. They will mail you your test results, which I showed earlier. Trying to think of anything else on here that's super relevant, but other things. Yeah, I don't really have a ton else. There is a continuing education requirement for the actual certification. I believe it is 30 PDHs over 3 years, which really is nothing if you have your PE license. So that's just a little bit about the exam. I made this video because there's not a whole lot of information out on it. There's not a lot of people certified in it yet. But if you do have questions on anything that I talked about, or anything else related to the exam, scheduling, anything of the sort, please feel free to leave a comment. I'm pretty responsive on my videos, or feel free to give me an email. So the last thing I said, for when you pass, it puts your certification date, and then you can see your active status. So my certification runs through 2025, and by then hopefully I'll have taken and passed the second exam. But that's all I have for today. I hope you found this video useful. Again, please let me know if you have any follow-up questions.